Hi Year 4, it's Mr. Goddard, and today's feeling very positive. We've had really good news. We're going back into school. The pubs are opening, the restaurants are opening. Everything seems to be getting better. The weather is beautiful outside. But I was thinking actually we might cover something a bit more negative today. And today in maths, we're actually going to be talking a little bit about negative numbers. And we've also got some mental maths that we're going to do. And we've got a little game to play at the end of it as well. So we're going to jump straight into it and go on to the slides now. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy the game and the lessons are really good.
Okay, so we are going to be working with negative numbers, and negative numbers are numbers that go down below zero. You can see here from the picture we start with -1 and -2. And the first thing we do, instead of doing negative numbers, we're going to do the same challenge as last week, and we have the quick questions challenge. So we have 99 questions and 2 minutes, and you have to answer as many as you can correctly, of course, and see if you can beat your score from last week. Now, I think it might actually be a good idea to try this out a few times to see if you can beat yourself over the weekend, maybe, because you might be doing this on Friday, so you might try it again Saturday and try it again Sunday to see if you can get all 99. I think that would be a really good thing to try and do. But right now, set your clock to 2 minutes, pause the presentation, hit start and do your best, and I'll see you in 2 minutes time to check out the answers. Okay, finish that off. I'm going to put the answers up. Just quickly check and see if you beat last week. So quickly pause it and see if you got the same as last week or more or less. And like I said before, maybe this is something you could revisit and challenge yourself to do better on next week. Moving on to the main task, and that is going to be word problems involving negative problems. Now there's several parts to this. First of all, we have to look at how to solve word problems and what we need to look at, and then we need to look at specifically what these word problems are asking us to do with negative numbers. So the first example we're going to look at here is we're actually going to look at our rucksack, and our rucksack means that we need to read the question carefully, we need to pick out the important information, then we need to understand what exactly it is the question is asking us to figure out. So is it asking us for a certain answer? Which answer is that? Then we have to choose the correct operation and create our sum to make sure that we're actually carrying out a mathematical operation. Then finally, the obvious part of it is we need to solve the problem once we've got it set up. Then we need to answer it, and then we need to check our working out afterwards. So we need to make sure that for each one of these questions we're following that rucksack process. So here's my first example for you, because there's two different ways of looking at these sums in this particular activity. The first one is like this, where it's asking us that the temperature is 12 degrees Celsius at 6 p.m. and then at 6 a.m. the next morning the temperature has dropped to -6 degrees Celsius. How many degrees has the temperature fallen by? So the first thing we know is that it has given us two numbers. It has given us 12 degrees Celsius at 6 p.m. and it's given us -6 degrees Celsius by 6 a.m. And then the problem is how many degrees has the temperature fallen by? So we know we're going to be starting, the temperature is going to be going backwards, and we know with number line going backwards we're going to go from right to left. So I'm going to start with my 6 a.m. here and at 6 p.m. and at 6 p.m. here it was 12 degrees Celsius. And then I know that by 6 a.m. the next morning it was at -6 degrees Celsius. And what the question is asking me to do is it's asking me to find the difference between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two jumps. Now I think I'll be able to do this one in two jumps. You might want to do it in less. You might want to do it in more jumps, but I'm going to do it in just two. So the first jump I'm going to jump from 12 all the way into the middle here, and my first jump is going to just be to the number 0 here, and I know that there I have jumped -12, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump from 0 to -6. Oh, my arrow went a bit funky there. To -6, and then what I have there is I have -12 and -6, so I add those together, and I know that 6 add 12 is 18, so I know actually that the temperature had fallen by 18 degrees Celsius. There we go. So it's minus 18 degrees Celsius. So I know that the difference between 12 degrees Celsius and minus 6 degrees Celsius is 18 degrees Celsius altogether. Now that's one of those types of questions that you're going to find in the challenge. This is the second type of question you're going to get, and the important thing to notice is basically the end of the question here. So if we read it through together, it says the temperature is 12 degrees Celsius at 6 p.m. At 6 a.m. the next morning, the temperature had dropped by 18 degrees. What is the temperature at 6 a.m.? So unlike the last one, where we had to find what the temperature had dropped by, this question has already told us that. What we need to find out is where we end up, the result. So what is the temperature at 6 a.m.? So we can set it up the same way. We know that we have 12 degrees Celsius at the start. But what we need to do now is we need to know it drops by 18. Okay, so I'm going to do my first jump again. I'm going to jump by 12, or minus 12, to 0 again. And I've only jumped 12. I need to jump 18 back total. So now I need to jump 6 more. So and I know that if I do minus 6 from 0, I'm going to get to minus 6. So I know that the temperature is going to be minus 6 degrees Celsius. If I wanted to write this as a number sentence, what I could do is 12 take away 18 equals minus 6. Okay, what I'd like to do now is I'd like you to go to your sheet and give those a go, and we'll look at the answers afterwards. Good luck. Okay, here are your answers. If you need to, please pause the board where you need it to be paused and quickly see which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. If you got it wrong, quickly have a look, see if you can figure out where you got it wrong. And once you have, please feel free to unpause it and move on to the next challenge. So pause now to check your answers. Okay, so our final game is a tug of war, and it's 2 players, but you can play it with 1 player and you can just record which side wins, whether positive or negative wins. You need 2 dice, a number line that runs from minus 13 to 13, and then you need a counter, and that's it really. It's a very simple game. You can even just write this number line on a piece of paper. You can just write the numbers minus 13 to 13 all the way across, just like this example here, and just move the counter across them as well. And you don't even need a counter. You could use anything you want. And what you do is this. First of all, you get 2 dice and the first person rolls. Now in my game, the first person to roll is going to be positive, and what that means is they're trying to get the counter to this end of the number line. They're trying to get it to 13. And my second player is going to be the negative player, and they want to try and get it to minus 13. If you want, you can be good guys and bad guys. You can frame it however you want. The good guys win more, the bad guys win more. It can be a battle between good and evil. But basically you just need 2 dice and a number line. The first thing you do, roll your 2 dice. So my positive player gets 9, rolls a 6 and a 3 altogether. So the counter moves all the way up to 9 here. And then the negative player rolls the dice next, and the negative player gets 10, so they have to go 10 back. So we go back to 0 and 1 more, so they go 10 back in total. And then the winner of the game is the first person to get the counter back. So for instance, now if the positive player rolled a 3, so then they went up to 2 here, and then the negative player rolled 10, so then it goes like to minus 8. Positive player rolls a 5 maybe, so it goes to minus 3, and then the negative player rolls another 10, gets super lucky, and goes all the way down to 13. And that is it. That is everything you need to do for today. So hopefully you enjoyed the game. You've really managed to solve all the word problems and get them figured out. If you have any problems at all, please don't hesitate to send an email into the Year 4 email, and you'll get a reply very quickly back from your teacher. Enjoy your weekend, and speak to you soon.